This is 5-1. If you've been memorizing, 5-1 will make a lot of sense. If you hadn't memorized anything, 5-1 won't make much sense. Product of powers, x to the a times x to the b. What is it?
XAB.
X to the a plus b. You guys are semi-familiar with this when somebody asks you, like, what's x cubed times x squared?
X 5.
Because what did you do with 3 and 2?
And.
You add them. It's the same property. That's just the rule for it. Power of power, x to the a raised to the b. I really need to retype this so it looks like this. X to the a and up a little higher, a little b.
Oh, I never noticed that. I thought it was just 8.
No, I know how it's typed. I need to retype it so it looks like this. It needs to be x to the a all to the b written like that. But anyways, what are you supposed to do with them?
Times.
You just multiply them together. Put them next to each other. Whatever floats your boat.
Okay, I'm confused. Is the first one the answer or the second one the answer?
No. I really need to retype this. It needs to be typed out. X to the a raised to the b.
Okay.
It needs to have another exponent. That's what it needs to have. I couldn't type it out that way with this software. Power of a product.
AX.
A to the x times b to the x. These are the rules of exponents, by the way. You don't get to make up your own. And there are no other rules other than the ones you're given.
Plus or minus? That's minus. Okay.
No, that's a multiplier symbol.
Oh, multiply. Have we taken a formula?
You will sooner or later. Moving on to the x with a negative exponent. 1 over x to the n. And if the exponent is negative down low,
And no,
shift it up top. Just x to the n. Quotient rule, x to the a over x to the b. I know a lot of you guys are memorizing it. Let me explain. If you saw x to the 5th over x squared, you should know what that reduces to.
the opposite of.
It's x cubed. Because division of like terms, you subtract the exponential space. It's x to the 5 minus 2, which is x cubed. And that's the first part of this one. This has 3 different pieces to it. If a is greater than b, we take away from a. X to the a minus b. Now, if there was more in the bottom, it wouldn't make sense to do the subtraction up top, would it?
No.
It would make sense to do the subtraction down low. So if b is bigger than a, you take away from b, and b happens to be located down below. Last one deals when you have equality, when a is equal to b. And I know some of you guys have it memorized. It's 1, right? You know why it's 1?
Yes, it's one.
Well, if a was equal to b, it'd be something like x cubed over x cubed. What's something divided by itself?
1.
1. The 0 exponent rule is actually that rule right there.
Oh, so that's 1.
It's 1. You know why I said it was that rule right there? X cubed over x cubed. What are you supposed to take away?
0.
You're supposed to take away 3 from 3, aren't you?
Yeah, so
That's x to the 3 minus 3,
it's
which is x to the 0, which is already defined to be 1. You got the quotient of powers rule, a over b to the x. What's that one? A raised to the x over b raised to the x. Lastly, you have the one that the state just really loves, the power of the quotient rule, x to the p over r. The reason I chose p is because p stands for power. The reason I chose r is because r stands for root. Square root, cube root, 4th root, 5th root. Why those were chosen. So the power of quotient rule says x to the p over r is the rth root of x to the p, or the one we use more often, rth root of x, all. It's easy if you understand what r stands for. It's easy if you understand what p stands for. Now you know how many is there. There's 12 or 13 of them there. So now you know them. Now you got to memorize them. And now we get to demonstrate our knowledge of these exponential rules. 4 to the 3/2. That's the power of quotient rule. We're thinking about that x to the p over r rule. All right, so you can glance to your notes and think about that x to the p over r. What root am I going to take of 4? I can't type this out. I don't have that function on this software. What root are you going to take of 4? Square root, thank you. Looks kind of funny when you write this out, but you're taking the 2 root of 4. You ever seen that written? You have?
No. Yes.
Was I the one who wrote it? They should actually teach kids to write it this way when they're little. But the square root of x is the same as saying the 2th root of x. The same function. The square root has an understood 2. 2 is understood. The root was the square root, and what's the power? 3. What is the second root of 4? 2. You evaluate, and you keep evaluating. What's 2 cubed? 8. Strike out B, I don't like the numbers I picked. Move on to C. That's also that x to the p over r rule. This time, what's the power? Power is 1. What's the root? 3. You're taking the cubic root of something to the first power is what you're doing. Might look like this. The cubic root of 2/27. If you want the ones here, you can put them there, but you don't have to because they are what? Understood. Ones are understood. Now you can break that apart too, by the way. We were able to break apart square roots, weren't we? How can I break apart the cubic root of all of 2/27? There you go. That's the cubic root of 2, or cube root, however you want to say it, over the cube root of 27. And here's why you memorize. What's the cube root of 27?
9.
3. Nobody knows the cubic root of 2. Hopefully you knew that. It's on your form quiz, isn't it? 3 cubed. Huh? All right, last one, D. Wish it was the last one, it's not. Last one, this slide is D. Anything about D that sticks out? Push your numbers.
No, it's
Anything easier?
fraction. It's in fraction.
Anything easier?
It's negative
2 to the 0. It's 2 to the 0.
2. 2.
3 to 0. Whatever. I don't care if it's a smiley face to 0. It's 1. Do that first. Anytime you see anything to the 0th power, what is it? 1! What? Oh, yeah. Don't be that kid.
I didn't repeat myself.
Now what you have is a 2 squared raised to the negative 3/2. There's lots of ways of doing this. Want to make it a 4? I'm okay with that. We just talked about it. Anything to the 0th power is what? 1. Come on, Nathan. What rule are you going to use to evaluate this?
Negative exponents.
Negative exponent rule. So you've got a rule that talks about x to the negative n being 1 over x to the positive n. So how do you rewrite 4 to the negative 3/2? 1 over 4 to the positive 3/2. And then 2 minutes ago we did example A. What was 4 to the 3/2? Hey, I hope you guys realize what's going on. Up here, we did 4 to the 3 halves. Did we not?
Yeah.
Right there's 4 to the 3 halves. Anytime you see 4 to 3 halves, I don't expect you to memorize it, but it's got to be 8. 8 has to be 8. So 1/8 is your final answer. That's the third different way we've done that problem so far today. All right, simplify in such a manner so that all exponents are positive. I can sit down and do these. You have like terms. You have b to the -2nd times b to the 7th times b times 4. When you multiply like terms together, what do you do with the exponents? You add them. So what are you going to have?
Now, b at 9.
No, it's just a coefficient. No. What understood number is right here?
1.
You got to understand the understood, kids. You have to understand that. There's an understood 1 there. Everything has an understood 1. If there's a 3 there, there's a 1 times a 3 there. 4b to the 6th. Because what's the understood exponent of that last b?
4.
1. 4 is just a coefficient. So -2 plus 7 is 5 plus 1 is 6.
Oh.
We don't multiply, we add. Example B has 2 rules written in one. I don't actually know the names of them, so I couldn't tell you what the names were. I don't expect you all to know the names. I really don't. You've got a over b to the x. That's one of the rules you get to use. And you've got ab to the x. Merge those 2 rules together. Sorry, not that one. You have x to the a raised to the b. Merge those 2 rules together. This one's kind of the most important one. What does it say you do with the outside exponent? You just move it into multiplication. That's the most important of those 2. What's a -3 times a -2?
6.
Down low of 4 times a -2.
8.
So r to the 6 sitting over x to the -8. Does make all the exponents positive.
Well, it's 1. Oh, no.
What do you get to do with that x to the -8? Get to bring it up. The exponent's negative, shift it. It's negative in the numerator, put it in the denominator. It's negative in the denominator, put it in the numerator. That's all you do. Any questions on that? Guess not. Move on to C. What's the easiest thing you can do on C?
1, but 2.
Divided by 2 is right. Reduce your fraction. On a standardized test, if you can reduce the beginning of that down to 9 halves, you'll probably eliminate 2 choices. Which is huge. Then you can play eeny, meeny, miny, mo with 2 things instead of 4. That's pretty big. I've got an m to the 5th, which I'm happy about. I don't like n to the -3rd power. Where's it belong?
On the
On
bottom.
the bottom. And that makes the exponent what? Positive.
You just switch to ends.
Yeah. And then keep working with it. I could see somebody making a test and this being an answer choice. But it'll say completely simplify. Or maybe it'll say find 2 things that are equivalent. Sometimes you have multiple selects where you select all equivalents. But if you think about this n to the 7th over n cubed, what are you able to do? Subtract 3 from 7 and get n to the 4th.
Did you keep that down there?
No, you did the subtraction.
Would it be 9 over 2, m5, n5?
9 over 2, m to the 5th, n to the 4th. What? Get your crap together, Penny.
I'm so sorry.
Don't worry, you're over halfway done. I have taught this. This is my 6th time teaching this today. Or is it
I would go
5th?
crazy.
The 5th time teaching this
Like kids.
today. Last one. For this slide, anyways. What do you want to do with that negative 3/4?
Move it in.
How? Multiplication, addition, subtraction, division?
Multiplication.
Multiplication.
Too many words for me to process.
There's a woman who can say 160 words per second.
Yeah, and somehow I need a therapist because I cannot process all of it.
Move into multiplication. And now you go back to 5th grade when you taught how to multiply numbers together.
On this interruption, if you normally ride bus 30, you need to ride bus 44 today. Bus 44 instead of bus 30 today. Thank you.
Well, we still got at least 6 minutes then. What's 2 times negative 3/4?
Negative 6, 4.
Negative 6/4, you can do better.
Which is negative 3/2.
Negative 3/2. Did you try to say that with a lisp?
No, I just said it really dramatically. I can talk to your lips.
Why the negative third times the negative 3/4?
9, 4.
9/4. What's wrong with this thing?
It's negative.
All right.
The bottom's positive.
Bottom's positive, top's negative. That's the problem.
1 over.
I'm glad you said the 1 over. I have a tendency on multiple choice tests to just make that the answer, an answer choice. Where I don't put it over under a 1. Now, a lot of kids will pick it. You understand that? A lot of kids will pick it. You gotta have the 1 over part. The rule says 1 over. For 1, plus 2, what was always understood to be out in front of this thing? A 1. A 1 was always understood to be there, and it didn't get moved anywhere. It had an exponent of 1. It had a positive exponent. It never got moved. Well, being as the bell will ring in just a moment, we'll just jump to the last slide. Simplify 3/10 squared raised to 2x.
Can we just go ahead and do what?
Think about the rule that you have. You have x to the a raised to the b. What are you allowed to do with a and b? Multiply. X to the ab. What's this thing going to be?
X to the
3 to 4x.
3/10 to 4x. Why don't you guys spend about 2 minutes figuring out the last one? Oh Lord, we got to think of something for ourselves.
You can see it. Is it 1
On your
8?
paper.
Really?
I guess it's really small on the paper. I guess I can make this one really big since you guys apparently are blind as bats. That question is now about 3.5 foot tall. You at least know which rule you're going to use?
Yes, the power function.
X to the p over r. Haley Locke, what'd you pick? Shoulders are not an acceptable answer. Misty, what'd you pick? Between A or B, that's a logical choice. Jeff, what'd you pick? B. Jeff picked B. At least you made a choice there.
Please type it out.
Of course I will. Somewhere in your notes, you have x to the p over r. Is the rth root of x raised to the p.
Yeah.
So when I see p to the 1/8, I think the 8th root of p to the first.
Yeah.
But that means that if I chose C or D,
They're wrong.
I should quit doing drugs for class. That's what that means. Okay? Because that rule cannot be interpreted as choice C or D. So it's got to be A or B. When we were doing things like this, square root of x squared. What is the square root of x when you square it?
2x.
No, it's just x. What you didn't realize here was there was an understood 2 there. It was the 2's that canceled. There was always those 2's that were there that canceled. They were opposite actions.
So then the 8 cancels.
The 8's cancel.
I don't get it. Oh, yes, I do.
Here's me.
Okay. That's a whole lot more sense.
Hope so. By the way, memorize those, or you're up the creek without a paddle, so to say, so to speak. Something like that.